Everything looked normal, until it didn't. Inside the president's house, everything seemed fine. Guards stood at the gates, lights were on, and the air was calm. But something was off. Very off. Giarta was already inside. She'd entered an hour earlier using a fake nurse's ID, claiming she needed to check on a staff member recovering from a minor illness. It wasn't her first visit. The guards had seen Nurse Khalifa before. Routine rounds, nothing suspicious. So they waved her through. No one questioned her. No one checked her bag. Inside that bag was a small black gun with a silencer. She moved past the kitchen, down the hall, and right by the guards. She knew the house well. Well enough to know which cameras worked and which didn't. She had been trained for this. Quietly, she climbed to the second floor. Room 2D, the president's private office. That was her target. At exactly 10:13 p.m., she was supposed to fire one bullet, then exit through the back door. Someone inside would unlock it for her. Someone close to the president. But she wasn't the only one watching. In the control room, a young IT staffer named Hamidou was monitoring the security screens. He was bored at first. Then something caught his eye. A camera had gone dark. Why? He checked the logs. Giarta had passed that area, but there was no record of her entry. He searched her ID. Nothing. It didn't exist. His heart raced. She wasn't supposed to be there. Upstairs, at that same moment, President Ibrahim Traoré was in his room. He had just finished a long meeting with his top generals. His back ached. His mind was tired. He poured himself a cup of tea, sat down, and opened a file. Classified reports about recent attacks in the north. He had no idea someone was already inside the house to kill him. He had no idea that one of his own people had unlocked the door for her. Meanwhile, Giarta reached the top of the stairs. Her steps were slow, controlled. From her pocket, she pulled out a small black device, one button on it. A press would send the signal. Target in sight. Her phone buzzed. A message lit up. Door will open in 2 minutes. Be ready. The sender's name flashed for half a second. Sanu, the president's longtime aide. Giarta had never met him in person, but the rebel network said he wanted revenge. His brother had died in last year's northern offensive, and some wounds never heal. She slipped the device back in and placed her hand on the gun hidden under her coat. Her mind was sharp, focused, but her chest felt tight, like something was closing in. Back in the control room, Hamidou leaned forward, scanning the monitors. A sinking feeling gripped him. He grabbed the radio. Security Team 2, respond. Silence. He tried again. Nothing. He switched to a different camera, then froze. There she was. A woman walking alone near the presidential suite. No escort, no clearance, too calm. His eyes widened. He stood, heart pounding, and rushed toward the alarm button. But he hesitated. Was it already too late? Giarta stood in front of the president's office. Her finger rested on the trigger. Inside, she could hear him. Walking, talking softly on the phone. She didn't blink. She pressed the small button on her device. Signal sent. In less than a minute, someone from the inside would unlock the private side door. Someone trusted. Someone who worked in the house. She checked her watch. 10:12 p.m. 1 minute to go. Then, footsteps. Quick. Light. Then silence. She spun around. No one. A shadow moved at the end of the hallway. She froze. Looked up at the camera in the corner. Still off. Good. But she didn't know that Hamidou had just activated the backup system. He was now watching her through a hidden camera above the fire exit. He saw everything. Hamidou grabbed his phone and dialed the head of security. No answer. He tried again. Still nothing. Then a call came in, from a number he didn't expect, a private line. Sanu. He picked up. Hamidou, the voice said calmly. I know she's in. Do not panic. Buy us 3 minutes. She has a gun. Hamidou whispered. She's standing right outside the president's door. I said 3 minutes, the voice repeated. Then the line went dead. Hamidou's hands were shaking, but he didn't stop. He left the control room with no weapon, just one goal: warn the president before the trigger was pulled. Inside the office, President Traoré walked towards the cabinet to grab another report. Then he paused. A sound. Software just behind the door. He turned. Click. The door handle moved. Slowly, silently, it opened, and Giarta stepped in. She raised the gun, calm, steady. President Traoré didn't move. Their eyes locked. She took one step forward. Her hands didn't shake, but something inside her cracked. She looked into his eyes. They weren't scared, just tired. Not weak. Human. He spoke first. I know why you're here. She said nothing. You think you're here to save one life, he continued, but this room carries the weight of millions. Her lips trembled. My mother is dying. So is this country, she said. His voice stayed calm. And if you walk away, they'll kill her? She nodded, barely. If I don't do this, they'll punish her. And if you shoot me, he said, they'll still kill her. That's what people like them do. Silence. She didn't lower the gun, but she didn't fire either. Seconds ticked by. Outside, someone was running up the stairs, fast. The hallway camera caught everything. Hamidou, out of breath, reached the hallway. He saw the door open. He saw her inside. He couldn't shout, couldn't risk startling her. One noise could trigger the shot. So he did the only thing he could think of. He sprinted to the breaker panel and hit the manual override. The automatic generator always took 60 seconds to kick in. He needed darkness now. The entire floor went black. Lights off. Silence. No footsteps, no voices, just breathing. Slow, tense. Giarta couldn't see the president anymore. She raised the gun again, but now her hand was shaking. A soft noise, a chair sliding. Then his voice, calm and steady. If you were going to kill me, you would have done it already. She didn't answer. You still have a choice. She hated that he sounded calm. Calm made it harder. She had trained herself to shoot, but not to feel. And now, in the dark, she felt everything. Her wrist sagged. The gun barrel dipped an inch toward the carpet before she forced it level again, breath hitching. Down the hallway, Hamidou hid behind a cabinet, his chest tight, heart racing. He was terrified. But more than that, he was angry. He had grown up poor, like most people, but he believed in Traoré. A soldier who listened. A leader who wasn't perfect, but who tried. If Traoré died tonight, the country would fall apart. So Hamidou made a choice. Hamidou opened a private emergency line and recorded a voice note, whispering, "We have a breach. I cut the lights. Target is in room 2D. Repeat, she's in 2D. Move now." Then he shut the phone and ran to the backup power switch. Inside the dark office, Giarta sat on the edge of the table, the gun still in her hand. She spoke softly. "They said you were evil." "They always do," President Traoré replied. "They showed me videos, said you let people die." "Do you believe them?" "I don't know anymore." The silence stretched. Then she asked, "Do you have a family?" He answered, "Yes. My family is every soldier who came home in a box, every child in the camps, every mother still waiting for her son." Those words hit her hard. Suddenly the gun felt heavier, like something she couldn't carry anymore. Downstairs, Sanu hesitated at the generator controls, torn between finishing the betrayal and pulling back. The echo of Giarta's recorded trembling in his earpiece made him falter. At the last second, he threw the switch, sending emergency power surging upstairs. Just then, the backup power switched on. Red emergency lights flickered to life, casting a dim glow over the hallway and into the office. Giarta and Traoré were still standing there, face to face. No words now. But something had changed. Giarta stood frozen, her hand still gripping the gun. but her eyes had lost their fire. The dim red emergency lights cast long shadows that danced across the walls like ghosts, stretching and swaying with every breath. President Traoré didn't move. He watched her, not with fear, not with anger. Something worse, pity. "I'm not the monster," he said quietly. Giarta's voice cracked as she answered, "Then why does the world keep bleeding?" He took a slow breath. "Because peace is harder to sell than revenge. But if you pull that trigger, you don't stop the bleeding. You become part of it." Her eyelids fluttered shut, as if trying to hold something in. Then, finally, she exhaled and lowered the gun. It slipped from her hand and landed on the floor with a soft, metallic clatter. Seconds later, the door burst open. Armed guards poured into the room, weapons raised. Hamidou was with them, breathless, eyes searching, but they all froze. Giarta didn't run. She didn't flinch. She simply raised her hands and whispered, "I'm done. I'm not one of them." President Traoré stepped forward and nodded once to the guards. "Take her in. No harm." Hamidou stared at her, still processing what he was seeing. Just moments ago, death had been certain. And yet, he had watched someone choose life. The holding room was cold and quiet. Giarta sat on a metal bench, hands cuffed in front of her, but calm. Her breathing was steady now, her eyes less heavy. There was a knock. The door opened, and Hamidou stepped in. In his hand, a phone. He didn't say anything at first, just held the phone toward her. "Your mother," he said gently. "She's safe. We found her." Giarta's eyes filled. "How?" "Sanu's network collapsed the moment you didn't pull the trigger," Hamidou explained. "He ran. We traced his exit trail, found the safe house." She looked up at him, unsure. "Why are you telling me this?" He shrugged. "Because you didn't kill the wrong person. You almost did, but almost doesn't count." Giarta lowered her eyes. "And now?" Hamidou paused. There was a weight behind his words. "Now, maybe it's time people like us stop waiting for saviors and start becoming one." Sanu disappeared without a trace, but his name still moved through back alleys and encrypted forums. A traitor to some, a coward to others. Maybe just another lost soul swallowed by a war no one really won. President Traoré never gave a statement about the breach. He didn't mention the attempt on his life. Days later, he was seen in the north, carrying medical crates off trucks with his own hands, speaking quietly to villagers, eyes tired but present. Giarta remained in custody, but quietly, through off-the-record channels, she was transferred to a secure location under government protection. Whispers say she now works behind the scenes, turning her knowledge against the very network that once recruited her. As for Hamidou, he never returned to the control room. He was promoted, but not to chief of security, to something rarer, a trusted voice. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't pulling the trigger, it's having the strength not to. The world is full of noise, rage, misinformation. But between all of that, there's always a moment of choice. And that choice can change everything. If this story moved you, made you think, or kept you on the edge of your seat, hit that like button, subscribe for more powerful storytelling, and share this with someone who believes in second chances. Thanks for watching. Stay strong, and remember, your choices matter.